Hello, everybody. This is Robyn Zaval with OnlyTheInspired.com, and I'm super excited today to be able to interview the beautiful Miss Julie Mann. She has interviewed me a couple times, and so today we actually get to find out a little bit about her because she's absolutely amazing. So, yay. Hello.
Oh, wow. What a welcome, Robyn. Thank you very much. And I think it's just so cute that you call me Miss Julie. I think that's quite an American thing, but it does make me smile. Yeah, great to be here.
Well, yeah, for some reason I call everybody Miss something, and until I actually moved to the South, everybody, when people would say ma'am to me, is like, oh my gosh, do you think I'm old? But now it's so custom in the South, everybody says yes ma'am, yes sir, which is super nice, but you got to get used to it. But I like the Miss Julie, why not?
Why not?
Yeah, so we're going to find out. You have all sorts of cool stuff in your background. So you're a hypnotherapist, you do EFT, and you're a life coach. And so maybe we'll start there. Tell us a little bit about how you became those things. And then I want to ask about your podcast. And then also what you're doing with health and beauty and your amazing Arbonne business. So
I have been an actor, Robyn, for over 40 years, and I've worked in theatre and I've worked in radio and done a bit of television and all sorts of exciting stuff. And when I became older and I wanted to have a child, I actually was 40 when I gave birth to my daughter. I really wanted to be nearer home, so I switched to doing role play and voiceover work. And it was actually whilst I was pregnant with my daughter and in a recording studio doing a voiceover for IKEA, which I'm sure you know, a client that I really love working with, that I had this kind of experience where I had this kind of rush come over my body. It was actually the hormones looking back, but I didn't think that at the time. And in that moment of experiencing this physical thing, I was rendered speechless, which is not very good if you're doing a voiceover. And it was probably only probably lasted less than a minute, but it felt like it lasted an eternity. And it scared me so much that I had the thought, oh my God, I hope that doesn't happen again. And of course, it played on my mind and became a self-fulfilling prophecy. So I ended up experiencing what I labeled as panic attacks. And in the end, because I just felt like I would never really be able to, although I was doing voiceover work and people were always happy with what I did, I'd always have a little blip at the beginning. And I thought this can't get any worse. Like maybe I'm going to have to refuse work. And I, would sort of worry before work happened, days before it happened. In the end, I went to see a hypnotherapist. And working with the hypnotherapist, which was kind of a last resort, really, I changed that behavior. And I was so gobsmacked that had shifted, because it was a huge deal for me, that I thought, wow, if someone could do that with me, what if I could do that for someone else? So I trained to be a hypnotherapist, and then I discovered life coaching. And I really like life coaching because, as you know, Robyn, it's all about asking great questions. So the person you're working with gets to discover that stuff themselves. Whereas with hypnotherapy, it's really about someone following instructions. And then I discovered EFT, which, for those of you that don't know, is a simple tapping technique. And I love the combination of life coaching and EFT because I could be really playful. And that's so, so important in my life. So I started doing that, but I'm still carrying on, as I do now, doing my role play work alongside. And then when I was a kind of mid-50s, approaching 60, my husband very unexpectedly asked me for a divorce, and I had no savings and no pension, and I love what I do and I really wanted to carry on doing that, but I knew that without a pension I would need another source of income too. And a friend of mine introduced me to Arbonne, not a company that I'd heard of, and I never in a million years, Robyn, to be honest, thought I would ever do what I do alongside all those things I talked about. But it happens to have been one of the best, apart from my daughter, one of the best things I've ever done. So I'm still an actor. I'm still working with people using life coaching, EFT and hypnotherapy. And I also have my online Arbonne business as well. And I think what connects all of them, maybe not the acting so much, but the other things that I do, is that I think at the base of having a healthy, happy life, a life that works, it's all about self-care. And Arbonne is all about self-care from the inside out, as is the work that we do, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Now, have you always been a self-care advocate?
No.
Or no, that's something.
No, it really was something that happened probably when I got pregnant with my daughter. I started to discover that really I wasn't looking after myself. I used to drink too much. I used to smoke 30 cigarettes a day. My behavior was not healthy in terms of the people I hang out with, the kind of relationships I was having. So absolutely not. So I kind of learned the hard way, but the way probably most of us learn, when people change, it's usually because something's really bad. And that's what happened for me. And I realized that I couldn't sustain my behavior. It wasn't making me feel good about myself personally, physically, it wasn't making me feel good. And I started to address that, but I didn't realize that I had any power to make a change. And I discovered that I could, and it was all about changing habits.
Mm-hmm. Which is that why you started your podcast about habits, or how did the podcast come about?
Well, my website is called habitfixer.com. So I became the kind of habit fixer quite a few years ago. But the podcast, which actually for me is in the shape of a YouTube channel, came about during lockdown because I really am very curious about people. I love finding out about people and finding out their story, because I think that that's the most interesting thing. We can all relate in some way to somebody's story.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, with lockdown, I thought, how can I help people? I keep meeting these really great people like you. How can I make a difference? How can I introduce them to my network and, have them be visible to people who haven't yet heard or seen them? And so I thought, well, I love asking questions and talking to people. So why don't I just record it and then upload it to YouTube? And that's what happened. So it was really not my intention, but it came out of really wanting to make a difference. And it's been so great to be able to talk to people like you and hear your story.
Awesome. Well, and just, when you find out not only somebody's stories, but what their habits are, you can learn so much. Just like you were saying, you felt like you didn't have any power over your bad habits. And sometimes, we get stuck in that loop, stuck in that rut. And it's like, okay, I don't know how to get out of this. And then by hearing somebody else's story, it's like, oh, okay, I could totally do this. And, so human connection is amazing. And I love that. Yeah. So tell me a little bit more about EFT. And I know it's tapping, and I've tried to do it a couple times. So what would you say to somebody who feels awkward doing
well,
this?
I would say
that's where I am. I feel dumb doing it.
It looks a bit silly. And if you feel silly doing it, then do it when no one's watching. Although it's very, very simple, it's something that is very, very effective. And I think some people think, it looks silly, so how can that something that looks so silly be so effective? But actually it really is. It's about trying it. Robyn, it's about experiencing things, isn't it, rather than kind of trying to understand in our mind. We can't understand something like that technique because it really is very experiential. You can have an understanding of what life coaching is, but people only know what it is when they come and talk to someone like you, don't they, Robyn? So it's really about experiencing it. So it's based on the premise that any negative emotion, and that could be an addiction, a phobia, anxiety, is really a disruption in the body's energy system. So by using a very simple tapping technique on specific points, it sends a vibration through the meridians. Now, you don't have to have any understanding or even believe that meridians exist, but if you try the technique, also using language, it can really switch things. So it can have things lessen, move about, and then eventually, it can have someone let go of a certain behavior. Because the thing that you and I know is that the brain really is in charge. It's like a computer. It's got the same software. It's always going to keep doing the same things. And that's what a habit is, really. It's something that we've learned to do, that the brain knows how to do. We can, do that habit every day without even thinking about it. We automatically, go to the kettle to make the tea, pick our favorite cup. We know what to do. We do it almost unconsciously. And we need to do that, because if you think about things like walking, if we had to learn to walk again every day, it would be impossible, wouldn't it? So we need to have, be able to do things like that unconsciously. But also it means that we need to work with the brain to shift those patterns. Otherwise it's going to just keep doing what it's always done. We need to put in that new software, and using EFT or life coaching or hypnotherapy or many other things, we can learn to change that program into something that serves us better. Because whatever habit we have in place already, even though it might look like a bad habit or a good habit, it will give us the result that we've always got.
Mm-hmm.
So, if we want a different result, we just have to do something different. It's really that simple. But habits take time, and the brain really doesn't want to cooperate initially. So it really is about practicing.
So is that it basically like interrupts the normal process?
The normal pattern, yes. So using language, so it's about acknowledging what's really going on for the person, and using the tapping. So using the tapping and using language, and then transforming it. So it might be, even though I feel anxious right now, I accept myself and all of my feelings. So, even just saying I accept myself and all my feelings is a way to start to shift something. Or if someone can't even get their head around that they could accept themselves on any level, they can say, even though I feel anxious right now, I acknowledge my anxiety, and it opens up to the possibility I can let it go, or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it is about acknowledging what's going on right now, and then transforming it into something that is going to give that person a different outcome. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So I think it would be super helpful. Like I said, so many times we're stuck in this loop and have no idea that we're in this loop.
Yeah.
No idea, habits. It could also be excuses that become habits. And then you program yourself, well, this is the way it's been for the last 35 years. And you don't really think it's a habit. You just think it's the way it is. So if you want to break those things, you have to do something different or interrupt that pattern. And sometimes we don't know how to do that. So that's interesting.
But I think you're right about becoming conscious. But sometimes we can become conscious, like you say, that we're doing something and it's not really working, but we just don't know where to turn. But I think the first step is being willing to look to create something different. That's the first step. So that's really a powerful step. But we are not our habits. Our habits form our behavior, but that's not who we are, because we can change our habits and change our life because we change our habits. So we have so much more power than I think we think we have.
Mm-hmm. And we just have to believe it and understand that we can get out of it. Yay. Awesome. Yeah. So, and then you also have a stress buster little download. So tell us a little bit about that.
So that's a 6-minute recording by me that people can listen to anytime, anywhere, just to kind of ground themselves and let go of some of that stress. I think that we live in such a fast-paced world that it's very easy to get caught up in being busy, that term that people almost wear like a badge. But we do need to stop. We do need to stop sitting in front of the computer for long periods. We need to interrupt. Sometimes I put my alarm on my phone. So after 20 minutes, I'll get up, the alarm goes off and I get up and do something else. for 5 minutes and come back again, or, maybe for a longer period. But it reminds me not to just keep going. And actually the 6-minute stress buster recording is really great to interrupt that habit and have us refocus and go back to something with hopefully a fresher energy.
Ah, very interesting. I will have to try that out. I know it was on your link tree. So is there anything else that you would like to share with us? You want to talk about some of your amazing personal habits, especially with the Arbonne products, and how that's affected you and how that can help others, and anything like that?
Yeah, well, first thing in the morning, I start off with a morning practice, and it gives me a really great start to the day. And I think it's so important. And I know some people get up incredibly early. I mean, I get up at 6 o'clock, about 6 o'clock. Some people might think that's early, but a lot of people get up way earlier than that. And I think when we can give ourselves that little bit of extra time, it feels like we can be in a really good place to start the day, whatever the day brings, because, challenges happen, don't they, every single day. So I'll start off with some meditation. I am a very big fan of Dr. Joe Dispenza, so I'll be listening to one of his. I will do some gratitude. I will do a bit of reading, a bit of exercise, or maybe exercise later on in the day. And I'm also learning French, so I'll put that in as well. And then I start the day with a cup of hot water. And then, once I've finished doing that, I, go and shower and get myself ready. And then I, start with some good nutrition. So I always start with a Green Gut Glow, which is a prebiotic, probiotic, digestive enzymes, super greens, and a skin elixir, which is a collagen builder. So that just gives me a real good hit in the morning, because that's going to be, having me think clearer, having my skin glow, having my gut work properly. And when your gut works properly, your body works properly, and also you have a clearer mind as well. So what goes on in your gut affects the outside of your body as well. So it will show up on your skin. So I start the day with that. And, I'm using Arbonne skincare, whatever they make and I need, I'll be using. So nutrition, skincare, personal care, I'm using it all. And I'm actually having a new website made. It should be launched probably later on this week. Habitfixer.com. And there will be links to everything that I do on there. So, but yeah, I like I said before, it's Arbonne has transformed literally my physical health and my skin, and through the personal development, because if you have an Arbonne business, you have to grow yourself in order to grow a business.
Mm-hmm.
I'm someone now who is way happier in my skin, and I like the skin I'm in.
And I think you are absolutely beautiful.
Thank you.
And you do glow. And coming from the habit fixer, I love that you're intentional about the beginning of the day, and you get up early in the day. That's specifically just for you. It's not jump on the computer, which has been one of my habits. Get up and I go straight to the computer before I'm even dressed, before I've meditated or whatever. I still need to work on my own self-care stuff, but I love that. I love that, I get up early so I could make me happy and set myself up for the day. I think that's super important.
I love the way you make yourself happy. Yeah, so important. It's our responsibility to make ourselves happy. And now that I'm going to be 65 in April 23. So, for me, I really want to age well. I just do. I want to feel as good as I can and look as glowing as I can, throughout my life. So that's important. We can't turn back the clock, of course. There's no such thing as anti-aging, but we can age well. And that is my intention, to do that.
And I think you're kicking butt. I think you are kicking butt. You are absolutely beautiful. Yay. thank you so much today for coming on and letting me find out a little bit more about you. I will put your link tree under this video. Is there anything else that you would like to share? Is there any Facebook groups or anything that you'd like people to join?
I've got all that on my link tree, and when my site is ready, I'll send you the link so you can add that as well. But thank you ever so much, Robyn. And please, if you haven't checked out me interviewing Robyn on my channel, please do.
Couple times.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much and have a wonderful day. Thank you, everybody, and we will see you next time.